Welcome, everybody, to the Stone Down Sports Podcast. My name is Matt. Really happy to be here with you on this Tuesday evening. We're going to go ahead and put a bow on Week 11 for your NFL fantasy football teams. We've got a few games to talk about tonight, a few key players as well as some waiver wire targets. As always, I'm joined here by the Rockers, Kyle and Ramey. Ramey, the Colts had the week off, so they had to bye, and you had an opportunity to watch as a fan the rest of the games. Was there a game this weekend that really stood out to you, either a really great game or a surprising result?
Well, Matt, other than the Monday night game, I think we're going to talk about this game. I was surprised that Seattle went into Los Angeles and lost to the Rams. Seattle seems like a team that should be a little bit better than what they are. Geno's not quite as good as he was last year. I'll give you credit for that. But other than that, I'll be honest with you, driving back from Iowa on Sunday, I didn't get to catch a lot of the early games. But Houston, Arizona, it's a shame that Joe Burrow's out for the season. That was a Thursday night game that I watched. But it was nice. The trip to Iowa actually worked out perfectly with the Colts being on a bye. The surprising thing is the release of Shaq Leonard earlier today. Linebacker for the Colts, been with the Colts for a few years, signed a big deal a couple of years ago, but then has gone through some surgeries and hasn't been quite as effective as he has in the past. So the Colts decided to part ways, and we'll see if he signs on with a contender to kind of play out the stretch run and maybe sign another deal with another team next year. But no, overall it was a good weekend. There were some good games. The game last night was really good. We'll talk about that as well. And we're moving into rivalry week in college football. Kyle, I know you're excited about that. You got a big game coming up.
The game. Not a big game.
Brother.
It is the game because, none of this the Ohio State University shit either. I don't play that.
All right, 2.5 minutes.
There it went. Yep. Sorry,
We've
fellas.
been good for so long.
You gave me the mic way too soon. You should have kept rambling on about Shaq Leonard or whatever it was.
Yeah, I should have.
I guess I was a little like the Broncos beating the Vikings, I think would be my shocker. I didn't see that happening. They're playing a lot better, but yeah, it's a good week.
Giants beating the Commanders like they did was pretty shocking. I didn't think the Giants would score 10 points in that game, and they put up 31. Tommy DeVito must have had some good home cooking last week.
No, he's the truth. Apparently, at least last week.
Yeah.
Yep. And his mom, cooks his food and makes his bed still. He makes $44,000 a game. It's ridiculous.
It's not bad.
Worst ways to make a living.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's just get into it. What we came here for. Boom. First game. Bears came to visit Ford Field. Justin Fields' first game back. Played pretty damn well. Had over 100 yards rushing? 104?
Yeah.
But I'm reminded of that quote. It's not how you start that's important. It's how you finish. Detroit didn't really look good. Goff didn't really look good for 3.5 quarters, and they were trailing 3 with 4 minutes left to play. I think the Bears their win probability was over 98%, and they ended up losing because scored some touchdown. Jamo got one, and then that big play by Aiden Hutchinson. Michigan guy versus an Ohio State product, stripping the ball. They had to kick it out of the back of the end zone for a safety, and it was over. So the old Lions would have lost that game.
Well, the old Lions would have been the Bears, right? Up 11 or 12 or whatever it was, and then somehow find a way to lose it. So they stuck in it till the end. You're right. Goff didn't have a very good game, throwing 3 picks, but he played well when it mattered, and they came back and won it.
Yeah, he really redeemed himself. Monty had another good game, 76 yards, had a touchdown, couple grabs for 22 yards, and it was a revenge game. It was something he was really looking forward to all season. He's had 12 carries in each of the last 2 games. He averaged 22 in the first 4 games of the season, but that was really before Jahmyr Gibbs had asserted himself as the force that he is. Speaking of Gibbs, another good week, you'll take it. 8 for 36 with a touch on the ground, added another 6 grabs for 59 yards. It was his 4th straight game with a touchdown. He's the RB1 since week 7. He's averaging 23.4 points per game in PPR. He's also led the backfield in snaps the past couple of weeks at 58% each week. I think going forward, Gibbs and Monty are both in the RB1 conversation every week, with Gibbs kind of skewing towards that mid-end RB1 to high end, with Monty being a touchdown dependent running back 1. ARSB, he continued to dominate. That was great to see. 8 for 77 and a touch, 11 targets. The dude is on a 1,696 yard, 17 game pace, which is just ridiculous.
Excellent.
Yeah. 6 of 9 games with 19 points or more. He's the wide receiver 6 on the season. He was a wide receiver 7 on the week. He is the second most targeted wide receiver at 10.9 targets per game.
He's a stud.
Absolutely.
And he just continues to produce for them, especially in the clutch moments. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you guys.
The Lions, and this is a testament to ARSB because he caught most of them. They moved the sticks 82.1% of the time on third down. That was tied for the best in week 11 with the Cowboys. And he's just crazy. He's great. TH in the house. Would you trade Ramondre? How you doing, TH? Thanks for joining us this evening. Would you trade Ramondre and Dell for Swift and Godwin in a half PPR? Swift would be his flex.
You know what? I think Swift is significantly better than Ramondre has been this season. That offense in New England is a disaster. Tank Dell has been playing great, but to expect the 20 points a week he's gotten you over the past 3 or 4 weeks, I think is a fool's errand. I think he is a boomer bust guy. I think the upgrade with Swift over Ramondre offsets the downgrade from Dell to Godwin. I think Godwin is a safe floor play, but he doesn't have that same upside, but you can count on him for that week-to-week consistency. I think I'd make this trade.
I would agree. I think it's, an upgrade with Swift over Stevenson, and then maybe kind of a wash for me there with Dell and Godwin. I'd do it.
I would almost see too if you can get a slightly better receiver and see if you can sell high on Dell, since he is riding this hot streak. Maybe you can get him to come up a little bit from Godwin, just depending on what that other team's roster looks like.
I like Godwin's and a fantasy playoff game schedule against wide receivers better than I like Dell's.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ramey?
Yeah, I'd probably do it. I have Swift on one of my fantasy teams and actually on the podcast league team. Not that it's really made a difference, but he's had a really nice year. And I mean, he had a really good game last night too. I know we talked earlier in the year and kind of continue to talk how at some point he's going to get injured, but he hasn't done that behind that Philly line. And they seem to be using him in a way that just he's getting a lot of production. And I know he had a touchdown last night, so that was a bonus, but he's getting a ton of yards, both catching the ball and rushing the ball. He looks really good in that Philly offense.
And I misspoke just previously. I meant to say Godwin's worse playoff schedule for receivers. Godwin and Evans would be down towards the bottom. Flip-flop that, TH.
But still, I mean, Swift is a legit RB1. He's the RB7 on the season in half PPR. He's got a very clearly defined role in that backfield on a team that really likes to run the ball.
Heck yeah. Appreciate the question there, TH. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern and every Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, taking you all the questions. Thanks for the question, man.
Yeah. If you haven't, please throw us a like and subscribe. We'd appreciate the support.
So talking about the Lions and the Bears, Lions are looking like potentially home field advantage if they continue, not throughout the playoffs, but a game or two. They're 8-2 right now. They're second in the NFC, right behind the Eagles.
Second best record in the league.
Really. Yeah. And I don't think their schedule is that tough coming down. They played Minnesota a couple times the last 3 games.
And then like that Saints game at home is probably the roughest.
Yeah.
They got at Dallas too.
Oh, yeah. That'll be a good game.
Yeah, they go to Dallas on a Saturday night, I think, just before the first Minnesota game.
It's between them.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's the next to last game of the year.
Yep.
And I can easily see Minnesota taking one of those.
Yep.
Just because of the way that Dobbs has played. And by that time, I'm thinking JJ will be back.
Yeah, he's supposed to be back week 14.
Yeah. So DJ Moore played awesome. 9 targets, 7 receptions for 96 yards, a touchdown. Played 100% of the passing snaps. He had a 42.9 target share. An 8 out of 16 4 and yards per route run 3.31, which is pretty good. That's pretty good. Like Tyreek's leading the league at 3.95. 3.31 for a receiver. That's solid.
The Bears coming down to stretch need to see if Fields is their guy moving forward. They're going to have 2 top 10 picks, a lot of quarterbacks in the draft next year. I feel like the Bears aren't as bad as their record. They just came out of the gate so poorly, and they weren't offensively, they weren't really working towards what suits them. They need to run the ball, and they've got a ton of running backs. Fields is a runner. They're more successful when they run. But it seems like lately, I know everybody wants Eberflus out, and he may very well end up being out after the season is over. But I feel like this team isn't that far away from competing and having 2 top 10 picks. If you feel like Fields is your guy, there's a potential for a lot of flexibility there moving forward, picking up maybe an offensive lineman or a cornerback, something like that to kind of supplement what they've got. I just don't feel like they're that far away.
I mean, on the flip side of that, though, think about it this way. Do you really want to try and build your contender around a quarterback who's not going to be on a rookie contract when you have the opportunity this year? You know, if you end up with the number 1 pick, you can have Drake May. You can have Caleb Williams. You can have Bo Nick. You can have whoever you want to plug in and build your franchise around. And I think if that was the route they decided to take, somebody's going to give him a first for Justin Fields, if not multiple.
Probably.
I don't know if they will. Maybe a high second.
I think
maybe a conditional first.
Like with just the talent that he has, I think with more competent offensive coaching, I think you could unlock a lot more. And you think about the teams who are running out just scrubs every damn week. You mean to tell me Atlanta wouldn't pony up a 1?
Yeah.
Let's back burner that, though. We got Dubo in the house. What up, boys? I got KC's defense for this week. Do you like Tennessee, New England, or Cincinnati off waivers better?
Kansas City has
who plays what?
Kansas City has Vegas at Vegas.
No, I mean you're playing the Chiefs there, and quite frankly, the Chiefs are a very high-end defense this year. They create turnovers. Christ's sakes, a game yesterday, they spent the entire game in the backfield. Jalen Hurts had no damn time. And that's a damn good Philly offensive line. So when you can get pressure, especially with just 4 like that, no, you're keeping KC. Don't overthink it.
Yeah. They held Philly to 21 points. I mean, and they got 1 or 2 turnovers. So I'd stick with Kansas City. Tennessee has Carolina. Carolina's pretty inept on offense, but it's not like Tennessee's defense is great. New England's okay. They've got where's that? I just had it. They're playing at the Giants. The Giants are offensive juggernauts as of 3 days ago. So I'd stay away from that. Cincinnati has Pittsburgh coming off of the firing of Matt Canada. So that offense is going to be juiced and ready to do something this weekend if they possibly can. So I agree. I would stick with Kansas City.
Same. Yeah. They're top 3 defense in this league. You got them. Start them. Appreciate the question, Dubo. Bronson in the house. Trade Sutton and Addison for Olave or Pittman or Mike Evans. Sutton's been coming on.
He is, but that's a steep price to pay for any one of those wide receivers. Sutton this year is having the year that everyone thought he was going to have last year. He's played damn well. Addison has played damn well this season, especially considering he's a rookie. None of those 3 are worth trading them both for me.
Yeah.
Now, would I like to have Mike Evans? Absolutely. But I'm not going to give up Addison and Sutton for it.
Yeah, I agree. Sutton is having a really nice year. Addison's having a good year, but with JJ coming back, his target share is going to take a hit. But still 2 for 1 there. None of those 3. Evans is probably the one that I would say to try to trade for if you're going to do one, but I don't know that I would do that, even like a 2 for 1 in that scenario, unless you just have a glut of receivers and want to make the trade for the playoff run. But I think I'd stick with what I've got.
Yeah. I mean, both Sutton and Addison are very, very solid wide receiver twos. Unless you've got a bench full of wide receiver 2s and 3s, and then, if you want to upgrade, go get Mike Evans for that top of the roster guy. But otherwise, no, that's too much.
I think so too. Sutton's got
There we
8
go.
touchdowns. What's he got? 8 touchdowns, I think. My wide receivers are ARSB, AJ Brown, Tank with Addison, Sutton, and Waddle.
I'd stay right where you're at.
Yeah,
I guess
that's pretty
to
excellent.
To his point, Addison and Sutton probably never make the starting roster unless there's a bye. So I guess I can kind of see that. Just, I don't know, though. God, that's deep.
He's got Chase also. Jesus.
How the fuck did everybody auto fucking draft or some shit except for you? What the frick?
Yeah, I want to play in your league.
Yeah.
Send me an invite next year.
It's a 4-team league.
Yeah, Chase is a big downgrade with Jake Browning in there. He's a mid to low end wide receiver too to me.
You might want to try to throw Chase out there for Mike Evans straight up and see if he bites on the name.
Yeah, it's possible. But still, I mean, between Tank Dell and Jalen Waddle, both of them have overall wide receiver 1 upside week to week. Got Tank off waiters and traded for Waddle. 8-team league with 3 flexes.
Oh,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Considering it's a smaller league.
Yeah, I think if you're going to try to make a trade, I'd definitely start with a 1 for 1.
Yeah. And it's hard to trade 1 for 1 at the same position too.
Yeah,
it is. It definitely is.
Thank you for the question, Bronson.
Yeah. Appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, he's definitely been here a few times before.
Yeah.
Moving on. Bucs at Niners. Niners took this 27-14. I don't have my notes ready, of course. Dude, Purdy played pretty good.
Yeah.
The Buccaneers secondary, their cover unit's been pretty exploitable as of late. He was 8 of 10 for 228 and 2 on passes targeted 10 yards downfield or more. Like, that's just fucking sick. And he had a perfect passer rating, 158.3. Last 2 games, he's completed 78.4 of his passes for 629 with 6 touchdowns and no interceptions after going through that losing streak where he was, visiting turnover city every game.
Yeah, and he's somebody who, I mean, I still believe this. He needs a perfect situation around him to be successful. And he has that. Like, hats off to him. He's the one that has to execute, and he's doing it. But he's a big product of the situation. He only targeted 5 players yesterday. Only 4 players actually caught passes. It was just one of those games. The Buccaneers, they had a chance. They had a chance to win this game, but they just couldn't get out of their own damn way. Ayuk had a huge game, 5 for 156 and a touchdown. Leads the league in yards per reception at 19.3. It's his 4th 100-yard game. Scored a touchdown in back-to-back games, and he's trying to make me look good by rocketing his way towards being a top 10 wide receiver this season. He's the wide receiver 15 right now. He was the number 5 wide receiver on the week. He went and had him a game.
Yeah, and I think it really shows how important Trent Williams is to that offense too, because when he was out, I know Debo was out at the same time too, but when he was out, they didn't look competitive on offense. And it goes to your point, Matt, where Purdy has to have everything around him. But your hope as a Niners fan is that as he continues to grow, he needs less and less of that because they're not going to be able to pay all of those guys in the next 4 or 5 years. They're right. I don't know how they're going to get under the cap next year, to be honest with you. But Trent Williams is huge for them. And since he's been back, they've played really well in the last 2 games. They look like the Niners again. So Tampa Bay is kind of starting to falter this season. Baker's still had a decent game, 29 of 45, 246 yards, a touchdown and a pick. But he is what he is. He's a decent pickup if you need a 1-week starter or something like that. If those Joe Burrow fans, we're going to talk about this a little bit later on, not fans, Joe Burrow owners, Baker might be an option for you off the waiver wire if he's available in your league. But he's a middle of the pack quarterback. He's better than what I thought he would be in Tampa this year.
Sure. He's got some weapons there too. I think really the story down there this season, though, has been Rachaad White. He went 9 for 30 with a touchdown this week, 6 grabs for 28 yards. He's the RB6 in PPR overall on the season. He's the RB3 since week 7, and he's buoyed by his receptions.
That's it, because he's still not. His yards per carry still sucks.
Yeah. Helps if you got a touchdown too.
We got Supersonic Loud Boy Enterprise in the house. What's up, brother? Hand purple blue piece. I have no idea what that means, but
I bet they were emojis.
Oh, well,
could be. I'm not sure then what that was.
You get up with the times.
Not sure what that would be. Did you guys see what Purdy's yards per attempt is? It's absurd. It's 9.7.
That is crazy.
That is crazy. It's the second highest average through 10 games with at least with a quarterback with at least 250 passes or more. Boomer Esiason was at 9.8 and 88. Dan Marino was at 9.7 and 84. And Rodgers was 9.6 in 2011. All 3 of those guys went on to win the MVP. Now, I'm not saying that Brock Purdy is going to win the MVP. It's just not going to happen. But he's still been having a great freaking season. And Ayuk too's had a great season.
Yeah.
Because of Purdy's having.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Two things help Purdy. I mean, he's super accurate, obviously. He gets a lot of protection behind that line, and he's super accurate. But it's been talked about over the last couple of years, yards after catch for that team. They're huge on that. both Ayuk, Kittle, Debo, McCaffrey, all of them. Getting the yards after catch pumps up Brock's passing numbers a little bit. Not that he's not done exactly what's been asked of him, but he's just circling back to where Matt said he's in a perfect situation. And he's making the most of it.
Right.
There he is. Blue Yays in the house. What's going on? Hey, he needs some help navigating Thursday. Worried about having Kupp in the lineup. I
I would be
understand.
too.
What would you do? Wide receivers, pick 3. Running backs, pick 2. Flex, pick 1. St. Brown, Kupp, Kirk, DK, Hopkins, Kamara, Monty, Jacobs, Charbonnet.
Okay, so St. Brown for sure.
Yep. ARSB is in. Christian Kirk is in for me.
Monty's in for me.
Well, hold on. Let's do
Oh,
our
wait,
wide
wait.
receivers first.
Yeah.
Don't complicate shit.
So Kirk, DK, or Hopkins?
Yep.
Or,
What the fuck?
sorry.
Kupp, DK, or
Kupp, yeah.
Hopkins.
Yeah, sorry.
Kupp against the Cardinals. DK is up against the 49ers on Thursday.
Don't love that.
Hopkins against the Panthers.
Not only is he up against the Niners, but Geno's hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. That is a tough one.
Honestly,
I think from wide receiver, we can eliminate DK
Why? Just because of Geno?
because of
Niners.
Geno, and it's, I don't know. That
That's
team
the way
just did
that's
not
the-
look right yesterday.
They did not. They did not.
I guess the
but-
secondary is the weakness of the 49ers defense.
That's kind of obviously in towards.
But can an injured Geno Smith or Drew Lock take advantage of that weakness?
I don't think so. On a short week.
Yeah, probably not.
So it comes down to Kirk or Hopkins. I would monitor,
Kupp.
Kupp and Hopkins. I'd monitor his status as we get closer to Sunday and then decide there. We'll be on Sunday morning to help you out with that.
Titans play the Panthers. I don't hate Hopkins.
Yeah.
They're at home.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. So I'd do St. Brown, Kirk, and Hopkins.
That look says it all.
Yeah. You just have that fear that you're going to go with Hopkins and then Kupp's going to go for 12 grabs for 140 yards.
I mean, he's had a big history of ankle problems, and I think they're probably going to take it slow or easy with him. I really do.
Especially with Puka in that offense.
And Puka's hurt too.
Yeah.
So
let's take a look at the running backs. Kamara, Monty, Jacobs, or Charbonnet. So Monty is in for me.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Charbonnet, I'm going to eliminate on a short week going up against the Niners. Like, I get it. While Ken Walker is out, he's a mid to low end running back too, who's going to be touchdown dependent to go any higher than that. He does get some work out of the backfield. You know, maybe he can sniff 10 points. And if that's what you feel you need to win, then roll with it. But I have zero confidence running Charbonnet out there.
I agree. So it comes down to Kamara at the Falcons or Jacobs at home against Kansas City.
come on.
Yeah, I think the Raiders are really going to struggle to move the ball against that Kansas City defense next week.
Yeah. Is it PPR too, Blue Jays? I can't remember when you've asked questions before. I should probably keep some notes
Kamara
for
and
some of
Monty.
these. So yeah,
And
I'd
now-
say Kamara for sure.
And now we need a flex. Jacobs or Kupp? I'm going to go with Jacobs.
Same. I'm too worried about the injury. Half PPR. Kamara's gonna
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd go Jacobs too.
So the odd guys out are Kupp and Charbonnet.
Yep. And DK.
Right. Yeah, definitely be monitoring the Kupp situation. Like I said, with the history of his ankle problems, and yeah, it's too bad. Brandon's in the house. Man, you should see the tickets. See the ticket prices for the Lions. Haven't even looked. It's a nice picture of the family there, Brandon. Blue Yay says, thanks. Appreciate you talking that out. Yeah, it kind of got stretched out there a bit. You could have ran down back to the LC and back by the time we had finished. Always great having you around, Blue Yays. You guys got anything more for Bucs Niners?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm good.
now.
Just
All right.
if you have Kittle, you're thrilled. He is a very hot and cold guy, but he's also the kind of player who can help win you a championship.
Yeah.
Because when he's hot, he's hot. 4 of his last 6 games are over 20 points. You just hope it carries forward.
All right. Moving on to last night's game, Monday night. Eagles pulled it off versus the Chiefs. 121-17. Eagles became the first team to win at least 9 of their first 10 games in consecutive seasons since the 05-06 Indianapolis Colts.
Culminated in a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Hurts, did enough to win. He wasn't super effective through the air, only 150 yards through a pick, but he was, on the ground effective, 29 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. That puts him at 9 for the year. Only one more, Ramey, and that $20 is mine.
Yeah. He did not play well. He had an interception and a fumble, but he put it in the end zone when it mattered, and it was strikingly similar to a game the Eagles played against the Colts last year, where he ran that quarterback draw, and it looked like the Chiefs had everything covered except for the quarterback draw, and that ultimately kind of proved to be the difference, was his running and his ability to score a couple touchdowns. MVS had a big drop towards the end of the game that probably would have ended up winning it for Kansas City. Maybe if not scored on that play, probably would have scored shortly after. But it was a tough catch, but it was a catch he probably should have made.
There's plenty of drops in that. It looks like George is in the house. 1 second. We're going to interrupt. Thanks, George, for jumping in. Appreciate you coming back. His question is Jalen Warren or Charbonnet for flex, non-PPR.
That's a good one. In a standard league, that's really where the phrase "volume is king" stands out. And Charbonnet, I think, is gonna get a greater volume than Jalen Warren is. Jalen Warren has a much better matchup though, going up against the Bengals. Now, early in the season, the Bengals were a defense you kind of wanted to avoid, but over the course of the season, now you've seen that you can pick on them a little bit.
You sure can.
The Steelers just got rid of Matt Canada. They have to be smart enough to realize that this is a cat going over 6 yards a carry, and when he has the ball in his hands, good shit happens. I'm going to go with Warren. I don't like that matchup for Charbonnet. I don't like the uncertainty at quarterback. Even if Geno plays, he's hurt. I can't do it.
I'm with you. I think that Thursday night game is going to be a low scoring game. The Niners defense strength is that defensive line, and I think Charbonnet is just not going to have a very good night. Even if he gets the majority of the carries with Geno's uncertainty, I think the play is Jalen Warren.
Yeah, I got to agree. 49ers are tied for 8th with the Lions and Saints in fantasy points allowed to running backs. It's Jalen Warren for me, even with the uncertainty of what's really going to happen with the offense there. I think they're going to continue that 2-headed monster of him and Najee. So
there's nowhere to go but up.
Yep. Great question, George. Eric's, welcome to the show, man. Appreciate you. He's 5-6, so he must win. Don't we all? He has Kyler, Swift, Pollard, Brees, Javonte. His wide receivers are JJ, Puka, Devontae, Smith, Garrett Wilson, and Nico. Tight end is Goddard, Logan Thomas. Traded Jefferson and Nico for Amon-Ra. That's a huge fucking price tag for Amon-Ra. Oh, Jesus.
I agree it is, but at the same time, like if you're 5-6 and you need to win, you can't wait another 3 weeks for JJ.
Yeah.
Nico's been good, but kind of up and down, and Amon-Ra has had that just insanely high floor. You know he's going to get a shit ton of targets. He gets looks in the end zone. You do what you got to do, right? Flags fly forever. If he did nothing, there's a chance he doesn't make the playoffs. Because you still got to get the dubs between now and when Jefferson comes back. If you don't get the wins, it don't matter.
Right.
So, yes, it's a steep price to pay. In your position, I probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah, I think it's a win now move. I'm going to echo everything Matt said. It's if you want to get into the playoffs, you had to do something to get points these next couple of weeks. Having JJ and winning your 8th place game by 45 points does you no good, as I'll see here shortly in the podcast league. So, but I agree. It's a huge price to pay, but as long as it's not like a dynasty league or anything like that, I think it's a move you have to make.
Yeah, I get the rationale. I do. I just wish Nico wasn't included in it. I think he's just going to keep doing well with the way Stroud's been so fucking good.
Yeah,
thanks,
for sure.
Eric's. Appreciate the question, man. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, and Sunday mornings at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, taking all your questions. If you haven't already, please give us a like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for stopping in. He said the same thing, Matt, that you said. Don't think I could have handled waiting on Jefferson.
No.
So,
makes sense.
Sure does. Sure does.
Yeah.
What else was I going to say about that? Did you see Justin? I mean, the drops are the main problem there. I think they lead the league. 27, 28, 29 drops or something like that.
Huge amount.
Yeah. Justin Watson had a whopping 11 targets, only caught 5 of them. Did get a touchdown there too, but I mean, he had another drop there at the end of the game too. You mentioned MVS earlier. I mean, that guy is just the only thing that guy really needs to do is just be a track star on the field. He, doesn't get many targets, and then when he gets this fucking game-winning one, he fucking drops it. And did you see Mahomes didn't never really throws his receivers under the bus? Maybe I should have choked up on it a little bit, just a little bit shorter. He had it. It was there. I mean, you should have.
Right. He had his hands on it.
In the NFL, the NFL, if it hits you in the hands, you must catch it.
I have some thoughts about the Chiefs. This feels like a retooling year where they try to develop some receiver depth. They were able to win the Super Bowl last year without Tyreek, but they did have Juju and Mecole Hardman, which they traded for. I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts, because coming into the year, you thought the AFC was going to be super deep and it was going to be really tough for Kansas City to get back to the Super Bowl. And they've got a good record. They haven't impressed offensively, and teams have really started to hone in, especially the Eagles. They had a double team on Kelsey the entire night. With the Bills not being as good as they are, the Bengals, Burrow being hurt, the Chargers not being as good as what everybody thought they were, the Browns being okay, the Dolphins and the Ravens may be the 2 top contenders for the AFC. Do you think Kansas City is the leader in the clubhouse to get back to the Super Bowl at this point?
With that
I don't know that they're.
I do. Sorry.
I don't know if there is a leader in the clubhouse right now in the AFC. I mean, you talked about Cleveland being okay. They have the same record and have scored more points than the Chiefs have. Now, I don't expect that trend to continue with who they're running out there at quarterback, but still, I mean, the Browns have a Super Bowl caliber defense. I still think if they manage to make the playoffs, Buffalo is a very, very dangerous team. Because you get Josh Allen out there and he's playing some hero ball, and sometimes it works and other times it doesn't. At the same time, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And until somebody takes out Kansas City in the playoffs, I mean, they're the defending champs, and they're sitting at what, 7-3, 8-3 right now.
Seven
yeah.
and 3. Ravens
they
are
mo-
8-3.
Yeah, they moved into the second spot in the AFC, so they wouldn't have home field if they ended up playing the Ravens if the season ended today. But the Ravens lost Mandrews maybe for the year. They said he might have a chance of getting back, but that's a huge loss for them. So
Yeah,
I
it
don't
is.
know.
And just, I think Sky Moore is not going to be a thing in Kansas City.
Nah.
Rashee Rice looks like he could be a thing, but he needs some more seasoning. Like, they need to upgrade their receiver core this offseason, be it through free agency or the draft or a combination of both. That defense there is the truth.
It's young too. It's the youngest defense in the league.
Yeah. I mean, when you've got the best quarterback in the league, you're always going to be in games. But that gap between Kansas City and the other teams in the AFC seems to shrunk a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you make your quarterback the highest paid player in the NFL too. But I mean, they knew, and I've said this on here a week or two ago. That's what they expected when they had to play Mahomes, that they brought him up as a rookie and they had all these weapons around him, and they pay him more and more because he's developed, and now it's going to be more on his back. And I agree that they're going to have to upgrade the receiving core, and I wouldn't be shocked if their first pick in the draft next year isn't a receiver. I know that the receiving depth in the draft coming up is pretty good. So I was just kind of thinking off the top of my head earlier today, Michael Pittman's going to be a free agent this year.
Oh, okay.
And he would look really good in Kansas City, as much as I hate to say that as a Colts fan.
So would T.
he
Higgins.
would. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the Chiefs are they're starting to face the realities that the passing offense is just too fucking dependent on Travis Kelce.
Mm-hmm.
And when
It
you
is.
have a good defense like the Eagles, and they doubled him a lot of last night, you just saw. And they were driving in the red zone, and he had that costly fucking fumble.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
But you look at Mahomes, he's had 3 straight games now under 20 fantasy points. And then you flip that over to Jalen Hurts, who yesterday he had 19.9 points, just depending on your scoring. That was his first game since week 1.
was that in PPR or half PPR?
3/4 PPR.
7
point
8.
per attempt.
Right.
That was his first game since week 1, under 20 points.
And he had 2 touchdowns, rushing
Yeah.
touchdowns.
Yep.
He really didn't play very well,
No.
other than those 2 rushing touchdowns.
Now, speaking of not well, look at AJ Brown, 1 reception for 8 yards. He cooled off a lot.
Yeah.
But it's, it's 1 week. There was a little bit of rain and shit like that. So, we can make whatever excuses for him we want. Just, it is what it is. You rode that hot streak from him where he went 6-7 weeks with, a shit ton of yards and all that. I mean, you knew it eventually was going to come to an end. Devonta Smith, though, did well. 6 for 99 and got tackled at the 1. Led the team with 8 targets.
You said it yourself.
Two of his receptions went for 15 or more yards. So,
yeah. You said it yourself. That Kansas City defense is the truth. It wasn't like it was a 35-31 kind of game. It was 21-17. The defense wasn't the issue. It was the drops and the timely turnovers for Kansas City.
Definitely.
Or untimely, depending on which perspective you're looking at.
All right. Next game. Seahawks at the Rams. LA pulled one off there. Jason Myers missed a 55-yard attempt with 3 seconds left. Is that the one that the field goal missed and they called a penalty? Is that the game, or am I mixing that up?
No, that was the Bills last week.
Okay. No, I thought it
12
was
Ben.
this week.
Yep.
I think it was.
There was some penalty on it, and they had to redo it, and he missed it.
Oh.
But anyway, Geno Smith. That's the big news from this one. And Ken Walker, actually, took that big hit. Drew Lock came in and promptly sucked and threw a pick. Metcalf had a nice game, 9 targets, 5 receptions, 94 yards, and the touch. His ADOT was sick at 17, 22% target share. Lockett, 7 targets, 5 receptions, 51 yards. And, Charbonnet did an admirable job coming in. I did like how he got 6 targets and caught all 6 of them, though. Not for much yardage, but so that's promising there. But that was when, and Geno did actually come back into the game, for that final drive, I believe.
Yeah, he did.
And got him down there so Myers could miss a 55-yard attempt.
I mean, they were kind of conservative, though, on that last drive, too. I think they could have gotten him a little bit closer to give him a little bit more reasonable attempt. I mean, I get kickers nowadays are routinely making 50-yarders, but, why do that if you don't have to?
Yeah.
Geno Smith, this is his 6th game under 275 yards, his 6th game with 1 or fewer touchdowns. He's a QB 15 on the season, so he is viable in super flex or 2 QB leagues. But we see, last year was kind of a mirage, and I will confidently write him off again. And I don't give a shit if he writes back or not. It's not going to matter.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a new quarterback in Seattle next year. Whether it's a rookie or somebody that they're trading for. Geno's not as effective as he was last year, and I think it's probably a product of teams getting a little bit of a book on him again after being a backup for so long. But I think good for him. He maximized last year and he made some money, but you've talked about it before, Matt. His contract is set up in a way that they can get out of it after this year if they need to, and it's starting to look like they're going to maybe not need to, but want to. On the flip side, the Rams are doing enough to win and kind of stay on the fringe of the playoff hunt. Stafford was 17 of 31, 190 yards, had a TD and a pick. Royce Freeman led the Rams in rushing, 17 carries for 73 yards. Darrell Henderson Jr. had the lone touchdown for the rushing attack. Puka had a touchdown, 5 catches for 70 yards. But Cooper Kupp continues to kind of not be able to avoid that injury bug. And other than the couple of years where he really just blew everybody away in terms of fantasy production, it's been something that's kind of followed him throughout his career. But Sean McVay's doing a really nice coaching job this year, I feel, with the cap restrictions that they've had and just the talent that they're working with. They've traded guys, they've benched guys. Kyron Williams was their running back for a while. He's doing a really nice job, and they're set up in a way with the cap room and the draft picks that they could bounce back from that Super Bowl hangover very quickly in the years to come.
Yeah, for sure. Kyron Williams should be back next week.
Yep.
Darrell Henderson got cut today. So
did he?
Yeah. Yep.
Man.
They cut him today. It was strange seeing Royce Freeman get so much of the workload there. But you were talking about Cooper Kupp. He had 1 catch for 11 yards, and there was a 35-yard pass that he and Stafford just couldn't connect on. It was a little underthrown, and he got turned around and shit. Given his history of injuries, and thus far he's only played 6 games, do you think he makes it to 10 games this year? 9?
Kupp?
Well, yeah. Where would you set the over-under on games played for him?
7 games left. He's played 6. I'd set the over-under at 10.5.
I'd go under that pretty confidently.
I'm going to go under that too.
So, given how these injuries keep stacking up, do you think he's just kind of done? I mean, he's going to be 31 next year. He's had, he's torn his ACL. He's had the ankle injuries. They just keep adding up and adding up and adding up. And I wonder if it's to the point where like his body is just kind of tapping out and saying like enough.
Yeah. I think that depending on what they do in the coming drafts, but they've got Puka. I think that there's a place for him in this offense, and I think he makes too much money just to straight up cut him. So I don't think we're ever going to see anything remotely close to what he was 2 years ago, where he had, 1,900 yards receiving. But I think that there's a role in that offense for him. And if anybody's going to find it for him, it's Sean McVay. I think he's not going to be the number one receiver on that team. And it might do him some good to kind of limit his target share and his snap count. He could be more effective in limited quantities than rolling him out there on every snap and seeing him get injured every other game.
That's fair.
But no,
There's a potential out after next season with 17.2 million dead cap hit.
I guarantee that they will take that out after next season. I guarantee it.
Anything else you guys want to talk about in that game?
No, absolutely not.
All right. Last but not least, the Chargers and Packers, FTP.
For sure.
That was an interesting game, and with another brutal drop by Quentin Johnston there. Like, it is crazy how you can just hit these wide receivers in the hands and they drop it.
6.
Also, Keenan Allen had an egregious drop. I wish I could say the word drop. What the hell is a drop? Anyways, ball hit him in the damn chest. Like, how in the hell does that happen? They're cursed. Brandon Staley's going to be gone.
Watching that review, it looked like the sun kind of played a factor with that Mike Evans one, but he had 3 total drops on Sunday.
You mean Keenan Allen?
Yeah. Who did I say?
Mike Evans.
Yep. All right.
Close enough. If you took a flyer on Donald Parham this week with Gerald Everett being out, he'd give you 4 for 57. That's not too bad considering how tight end has been this season. Eckler did all right, 10 for 64, 2 grabs for 6. It was his second time under 10 PPR points in his last 5 games. Herbert, overall, he played decently. 21 for 36, 260 and 2, had 8 carries for 73 yards. That was his most rushing yards since November 21st, 2021 in a Week 11 matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
Stone Smart had a grab, 51 yards. Does anybody know where Stone Smart went to college? Did anyone know Stone Smart was an NFL player before I mentioned his name?
Negative.
No.
Yeah. Old Dominion.
ODU.
No kidding.
He's a tight end for the Chargers. He's a real person.
He's a real person.
He had 1 catch for 51 yards. Yeah.
Keenan Allen had 16 targets. So just amazing. That's a ton.
It's a ton, but it's a product of that there's nobody else to throw at this point, too. I mean, there is, but nobody else can really catch the ball on a consistent basis.
Yeah, he's had 6 games with 10 or more targets this year.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I think they are cursed.
they probably are. You mentioned Eckler's game. It was 64 yards. He did lose a fumble. His snaps have been going up since he came back from injury. This is the first time from week 12 of last season that he played over 70% of the snaps. Again, might be more because he's a pass receiving back and there's nobody to throw the ball to.
Jordan Love has risen from the dead like the Undertaker. He was 27 of 40 for 322 yards and 2 touchdowns. Everybody's excited about Jordan Love now after 1 game. People fail to talk about the Chargers defense being dog shit this year.
Right.
But Packers got a good win at home. This was a game my buddies and I were talking about on Sunday morning on our way back as we were looking to place a few wagers. And one of my buddies actually said, Chargers -3. What do you think? I said, this feels like a game the Chargers are going to lose. And so he bet on the Packers.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Love looked, Aaron Jones went down early. Another running back went down.
I think that's his official full last name now, right? Aaron Jones went down early.
No kidding. So Love kind of had to throw the ball around through 40 times, and his receivers all played well. Jaden Reed, Dobbs, Seawat had a touchdown. Finally looked good. They got that other guy on there,
Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah, Wicks or Hicks. Is it Wicks?
Wicks.
5 targets, 3 receptions for 91 yards. Musgrave had 6 targets. Yeah. I felt like slightly like what is so fucking funny?
I don't know. He started laughing. It made me laugh.
Jesus Christ. I just felt like Jordan Love finally kind of took a game on himself and won it. All right, that's all we're gonna say. Am I freezing up again?
No, you're good.
No. Yeah.
Dobbs 5 for 53 and won 7 of his 10 games. He's had 11 PPR points or more. He's a low end wide receiver 3, and with low end wide receiver 2 upside just on any given week. Jaden Reed had 46 yards rushing, ran one in. 4 for 46 through the air. He's had 6 of his 10 games over 10 points and 4 of his last 5. So while nobody there in that Green Bay offense from at least a receiving standpoint is blowing anyone away, there's also some consistency there. And that's what you need when you're building your fantasy team is, all right, I've got my high upside guys. Who's going to give me that solid week-to-week floor and help at least guarantee me some points? And really, either one of those are just fine.
Yeah. Thing with Dobbs, he's very touchdown dependent, but he scores a lot of touchdowns. So
yeah.
It works.
That's it.
It does. Real quick, I saw 4 of the Packers' 6 losses has been decided by a total of 11 points. And I think we talked about the Chargers. 5 of their 6 defeats have a combined margin of 14 points.
2 very unlucky teams.
And I was telling Raymond before the podcast, what was it? If the Chargers had the Jets defense, they'd be 7-3.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, or better.
Yep. And conversely, if the Jets had the Chargers offense, they'd also be 7-3. It's nuts. If you're just kind of like taking, season averages.
Sure.
All right. Any more Chargers Packers?
No, I think we're good.
They're going to come to Ford Field on Thursday and get smoked.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on Thursday evening.
Yeah,
we will be here we do work on Thanksgiving. We get overtime.
Double time.
Yeah.
That'll work.
0 times 2 is 0.
All righty. Waiver wire targets for week 12, gentlemen. There's some good ones out there.
Yeah.
Some decent. Who's got a few?
I'll start us up since apparently Ramey wanted to. I am going to go with Tutu Atwell. He's owned in 26% of leagues. With Cooper Kupp out over the first 4 games of the season, he was averaging 5 for 68 off of 9 targets.
Yeah.
Somebody is going to have to fill the void. It's not going to be Alan Trammell's nephew or whoever that dickhead was there before. Tutu Atwell has shown he can play and produce in that offense.
Nice. I was just going to go because it kind of ties into our last game. I'll go with Jordan Love. He's available, or he's owned in 43% of leagues on Yahoo. He's averaging just over 17 fantasy points a game. And close your ears, guys. That Lions secondary is not great. So the way he looked against the Chargers, I think he can continue that on a short week. And that's why I would choose Jordan Love, especially if you were a Joe Burrow owner.
Yeah. Supersonic, you guys are definitely impressing me. Salute. Peace. Appreciate it.
Appreciate that. We're
Love the
very
show.
happy your standards are so low.
Let's see. Nino in the house. Thanks for joining us, Nino. With Boyle at QB now, which scares me more now for Brees because the targets. Should I go and trade Brees for Rashad?
So here's the thing with Tim Boyle. Like, I don't understand how quarterback can be played worse than what Zach Wilson was doing. Like,
well, you're about to see it.
I mean, there's
Friday.
There's nowhere to go but up.
Yeah,
really. at the same time, that offense is still going to be in disarray. We were talking about Rachaad White earlier. He's somebody who he's got a stranglehold on that backfield. He's getting all the touches. Most of his damage is done through the air, especially if you're in a PPR league. It seems like a dude's getting 6 grabs every week, falls in the end zone, every other week, something like that. I think that's more consistent and better overall production than what you've been getting from Breece Hall. I mean, Rachaad White is a mid-end running back 1.
I got to say, Kyle, I love the liners before you put the chapstick on. Like, oh, you're going to see this Friday.
Yep, you're going to see this Friday. Yeah. Thanks, Nino, for the question. Appreciate it, man. If you haven't, please like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Here Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 p.m. Eastern, and Sunday mornings at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. He laughed. She laughed. Yeah.
It was
Captain
funny.
Chapstick.
Yeah, the damn chapstick. And sometimes I don't even know I'm putting on. I'm just like, oh, my lips are dry. I've been talking too much tonight.
It was just perfect. You were like, oh, you haven't? Well, you're going to see this Friday.
Assholes. One of my waivers, or my main waiver there, because it's like at the end of the time here. Rashid Shaheed for New Orleans. Michael Thomas suffered a knee injury there in week 10. They were on a bye last week. He had a 23.7 target share. That was the second highest for him in a game all season. He didn't make a big play, but he's kind of been a borderline waiver target all season. I picked him up in a league as well. I'm hoping he falls into the end zone for a long one. So,
yeah. Other side of that, A.T. Perry.
Yeah.
With Michael Thomas being out, 6th-round rookie. He's got great size, 6'5", 205, caught a touchdown before the bye. I do agree that Rashid Shaheed could do more with increased targets than probably what you get out of A.T. Perry. But still, it never hurts to have somebody who is likely going to be a red zone or end zone target, just given his height.
Yeah. You saw AT mostly playing significantly in both 11 and 12 personnel, and Rashid was the odd man out. So could be a good pick too. How do you guys feel about Isaiah Likely?
Oh, you took mine.
Oh, I'm darn. He's only owned in like 0.8% of leagues or something.
0.9. Yeah. Hey, with the tight end talent and oh no, Matt's got the giggles. He's only owned in 0.8%.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or it gets the hose again.
Yeah. I think he's worth taking a flyer with the lack of tight end talent, the depth there with Mandrews going down. I know that OBJ has kind of picked up some target share and some production over the last few weeks, but somebody's got to play tight end for him. And Lamar has really shown that he likes to throw to the tight end. So if you're desperate, he's worth a pickup.
Yeah, I think so too. Over the next 6 weeks, he has 2 matchup against teams in the top 5 and allowing fantasy points to tight ends starting next week with the LA Chargers, who can't stop shit. So, and they have another couple matchups against teams in the top 10, allowing fantasy points to tight end. And I remember him having some good games was it last season or this season?
Yeah,
no, it was last season. Taking over there for Mandrews when he was injured, where he did pretty well. Caught some touchdowns too, if I recall.
Yeah, he's a super athletic dude.
Yeah. So he's one I like. Sorry, I stole your thunder. That's all the ones I really got. So
he's a super athlete.
You got any more, Ramey?
Nah. Zach Charbonnet, but
yeah, there's Charbonnet too.
Charbonnet and Jaden Reed is only owned in 36% of leagues right now. We were just talking about him a minute ago. 10 plus points in PPR in 4 of his last 5 games. If you've got that sitting on your wire, you're either in a pretty damn shallow league or your ass isn't paying attention. Yeah. And you should really pay attention when we talk. If you'd have listened to us a month ago, you'd have Devin Singletary on your team.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's the Packers leading receiver at 463. So he's 80 yards in 3 of his past 4 games. Jaden Reed's a good one. And to see him get involved in the run game too, that's just extra touches that, somebody else won't get. He will.
Right. He could be like a homeless man's Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
A little bit worse than poor man.
Poor man's, homeless man's. Great. I don't.
Or sorry, unhoused persons.
Yeah.
All right. I know we're running out of time here, but let's talk about our successes or not last week. What you guys want to do first? Oh, let's get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Podcast league standings, fellas. Ouch. Serenity now. Kyle, 7-4 in third, looking good. You guys at the bottom. I see Ramrod lost again. That's
Sure
4
did.
in a row. 4 in a row.
Scored 130 points. Thought I'd be smart and put Achan in the offense, and he got hurt in the first quarter.
I think it was his third snap.
Yep. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that I'm the second hottest team in the league, having won 1 in a row. I'm sitting there at 4-7, just nothing but a transposition away from being in playoff position. Brandon's sitting there at 7-4. Don't let me get into playoffs. Do not let me get into playoffs. I'll whoop that ass.
I ain't hearing nothing, but dude, Stinky Nuts out there in Idaho's 5 in a row.
Right.
Climbing up.
Mhm.
Idaho Moose Knuckles.
Drew still leading the league in scoring. Good for you, Drew.
Yeah, doing well.
Let's bring up the stuff that I do good at now.
All right, here you go.
Yeah, look at that.
Our weekly DFS matchup for the Sunday main slate. Points were pretty close there, all within 11, 12, but
Very high scoring.
yeah, very high scoring. Matt took it away again. He's 3-8. Looks like I'm gonna have to buy fucking ale Emporium.
Yep, it's gonna be delicious. I'm bringing my appetite.
Yeah, I'm gonna get
Show up wearing socks and a smile, ready to eat.
Hey, we got a question.
We sure do. Chandler Constantino. I like that name. That's a cool name. Trade Connor and Amari for Purdy and Stevenson. Josh Allen bye week is the first week of our playoffs.
Ooh.
Oh, that sucks, dude.
Yeah,
It does.
Matt knows all about that. So I need a QB for a rental. Yeah.
I mean, with DTR in, I'm not expecting a whole hell of a lot from Amari Cooper. At the end of the day, somebody there has to get targets, but those are going to be very low quality targets. Connor, I'm a little bit more hesitant to move on from just because that is his backfield. I know the Cardinals did pick up Michael Carter. So he's going to at least get the passing down work, and actually over time, I could see him eating into a little bit of Connor's workload as well.
Sure.
I don't think they'll get to like a 50-50 split or anything like that. He did pull up his team here.
Yeah, I see that.
yeah.
Josh Allen, Pollard, Kyron, and Connor, ETN, Keenan, Debo, Amari, Ridley, Scary Terry. Yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, once you're in, you do what you got to do. It's unfortunate that your playoffs are starting before the buys are over. Said it earlier, flags fly forever. Sometimes you got to make the ballsy move and grab your wheelbarrow and channel your inner MCDC and go for it. So I'm going to go ahead and endorse that move.
I second that.
I confirm.
Yeah,
definitely. You gotta have a quarterback, and the way that Purdy's been playing, depending on the matchup, you might start him moving forward in the playoffs too.
What is that? Week 14? No.
Yeah.
Week 13.
Yeah, it is.
No, because the Bills aren't on bye. Bills are on bye week 13. Niners and Eagles.
That's
the way to beat the Eagles is through the air. There's a damn good chance there could be quite a few points scored in that game. Do what you got to do to survive in advance, brother. That's it.
Yeah. Then Arizona has, in week 15, they have the Cardinals. So the same week that the Bills have Dallas. So I think it's worth it. You might want to start him that week too.
That's it. Mix and match your way to the ship. Appreciate you stopping by. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday evening at 7:00 Eastern, and we're also around Sunday mornings at 11:30 to help with those last-minute lineup decisions.
Heck yeah.
If you don't mind, throw us a like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate the support.
And real quick, our aces and deuces and locks that we picked from last week. What happened?
Winning record.
Yeah. First, you didn't go 0-5 or 1-4.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's a good job. Me and Matt had a couple pushes, and I had to amend one from the week before. I had one from last week that I marked incorrectly. So, I'm now 30, 23, and 2. Matt's on the plus side, 28, 26, and 1. And Ramey, I mean, each week, I guess, can help you get to 500. See what happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Okay.
Hey, he's 3-2 in his last 5. The recent results are what matters most.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks,
onward,
Chandler, man. Thanks, Chandler, for liking and subscribing. Really appreciate it in here. Once a cheater, always a cheater.
Yeah.
Okay. All righty.
Keeps talking about this Google Doc where he keeps all the records. I've seen nothing of it.
It's in there. Matt's looked at it. It's in there. You can get it.
Allegedly.
Everyone has access to it.
Allegedly.
It's in there. All the tracking.
I need to see that edit history.
Check it all out.
Yep. All right, guys. I know Kyle's hungry, so he wants to get going.
All right. Captain Spock subscribed and doing bong hits.
There you go.
Heck yeah. It's not called the Stone Down Sports Podcast for nothing. Excellent.
All right, fellas, let's get out of here. We will be here at 7:00 on Thursday. I know it's Thanksgiving, but we will be here to kind of recap the afternoon games, talk about the Thursday night game, and then preview week 12, as well as our aces and deuces and our locks of the weekend. So looking forward to seeing who can hop on then. If you haven't already, we know we really appreciate everybody that's liked and subscribed. Really enjoy interacting with you guys during these episodes. It's a lot of fun, and please keep it up because we really do enjoy it. We couldn't do it without you. So follow us on the socials, come to our website, www.stonedonsportpodcast.com. Like Matt said, 7:00 Tuesday and Thursday, 11:30 a.m. on Sunday mornings with Tinker Time. Until Thursday, hope everybody has a nice Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you then.
See you, everyone.
See you, folks.
Back here in the home of the longest outros ever.
Yes.